Hi, welcome to Film Files. Today I wanted to talk about Heretic. Scott Beck and Bryan Woods are the writers and directors of this film, and I think as writers of the film, they had a very clear vision of what the film should be, and they went straight after it. The best element of this film for me is that I've heard it said in many series and films that the city or the location is extra character in the film. And in this film, the house really is a character in the film. The house felt like it was built with such specific vision. In the story itself, it's pretty evident that the main character, who is also the antagonist of this film, who's played by Hugh Grant, Mr. Reed, built this house. Clearly, he came up with the blueprints of this house and he built it himself. It's not mentioned in the film, but it's pretty evident from how things play out within the house that it was specifically designed for incidents like this at this house. It was done with such clarity and vision, and it's incorporating every single room and space of the set design that they've made the most out of the budget that they could possibly make out of it. Everything from the color palette to the wallpaper in the living room space to the church-like back room to the basement design with the two entrances, all of it was really well thought out. Even the ending, there is a greenhouse space, which I don't want to reveal the ending, so I'm not going to talk about that. But the space design, even of that space, was very well thought out and well done. I have mostly only positives to say about this film. Most of the film is dialogue. There really aren't many scares or thrilling moments that happen in the film. There's one sequence when the two Mormon missionaries go into the basement. That is a little bit thrilling, but apart from that, it's mostly a dialogue-driven, what's going to happen next kind of film. It's certainly not a horror movie, and it is a thriller, but it's not a thriller with a lot of action type characteristics in it. I really enjoy films in that genre. So for me, this is right in my wheelhouse. I really enjoyed it. I think Hugh Grant really takes over and dominates the film. He has a majority of the dialogue in the film, and that was by design clearly, and he did an amazing job of taking that forward. His performance was very strong. It was creepy but not creepy. It was funny and not scary when it didn't need to be scary, and it was scary when it needed to be scary. And he didn't feel at any point of the film like a physical threat to the two girls, but also he did feel like he could if he wanted to. He played it a little bit with an older person's body language, which could come off as frail and not powerful, but because of his presence, it just feels powerful. It was a very good performance. Both Chloe East and Sophie Thatcher put in amazing performances, and I have absolutely no complaints. The three of them are the majority of the film, and all of them put in really strong performances that very well set their characters. That being said, I had a couple of things that I would have done differently and I didn't like as much, which is how much of the dialogue as well as the intellectual philosophy the Hugh Grant's character really takes over. It's kind of hard for me to say this because ideologically I'm more inclined towards that character, which is a crazy thing to say because it's a crazy person who kills people. But I didn't want him to have the space to just completely dominate the ideology and only talk about his ideology. I wanted the two Mormon missionaries to interject more and be more forceful towards him as a philosophical obstacle, which they really didn't end up being. They get a couple of lines in, but that's pretty much it. Hugh Grant's character pretty much dominates the rest of the film. The first 45 to 50 minutes of the film is very, very engaging. And the last 20 minutes of the film is slightly messy. I think they knew what they wanted to get out of the ending as well as the ending sequence, but I don't think they achieve what they were trying to get. Instead, it just ends up being kind of a messy, somewhat predictable ending. Even within that space, the violence is not very well handled or well directed. It could have been done a little bit better, and that's pretty much the only issue I have with this film. I think if they had sketched out the ending a little bit better, this film would have been just perfect within the thriller genre. Overall, highly recommend if you're a fan of thriller or even horror movies. I think this is a good film for you to go watch.